Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. My name is Dale Sams, and I'm a veteran storm chaser and a NOAA storm chaser here to give you all the latest breakdown on today's severe weather setup and a sneak peek into your 4th of July forecast here across the U.S. Okay, so let's go ahead and focus in on what's currently going on out there. Right, so you can see we do have a complex of strong to isolated severe thunderstorms ongoing here, mainly across southern North Dakota. All right, we do have a severe weather statement in place here just north of Bismarck, and even on the southern end of this line here, it has occasionally produced a few severe thunderstorm warnings over the last 30 minutes, but overall this line is becoming more outflow dominant and decaying as it's continuing to move to the east here. So not too concerned with the severe threat here across North Dakota here this morning. All right, taking a look here at our current surface observations. All right, temperature, dew point, pressure. All right, across these regions here, right across where the enhanced risk is today. So you can notice there is a boundary here, okay? And there's a stationary front that's sweeping across here the Dakotas into Minnesota, and you can see south of that boundary there's warmer air. You see we're already at 70 degrees, 72 here across South Dakota, and north of this stationary front we have 60s here and dew points in the upper 50s. So cooler air mass across North Dakota, which is why that complex of thunderstorms here across North Dakota is weakening here, because the atmospheric dynamics are, supportive for strong to severe storms at the moment, but all the ingredients are not there for it because of how early we are in the day here. So now, also taking a look here at our surface analysis here, more from a surface front standpoint, and looking at our water vapor. So you can see there's a lot of boundaries, all right, and you can see all these low pressure, these boundaries. But what we're going to focus in on here, and I'm going to zoom in, is again across the Dakotas here where the stationary front is. Low pressure is over northwest South Dakota here, and again this is a stationary front right here, and along that boundary there, along that stationary front is where we're seeing those complex thunderstorms that was severe. Here you can see there was a severe thunderstorm warning in place here over the last 30 minutes, and it has since expired. But again, that's north of this boundary here where the cooler air is. All right, so that's the reason why the storm is losing fuel. It's starting to decay. Now, also along this boundary here later today, this is where we're going to be watching for redevelopment of severe thunderstorms with more intense hail and damaging winds here. Okay, now even across here, even down here in Kansas and Central Great Plains, here we have a few thunderstorms sweeping through, and early this morning here, but along this boundary here, this is a dry line here. Okay, so we have a dry line boundary across western Kansas, and across this region here today we could see a few isolated supercells that form along that and just ahead of that dry line here. So but again, not too concerned across western Kansas today. All right, so again, there's that current complex of storms across North Dakota that is continuing to push east and getting more into that cooler air mass here, which is just going to cause these storms to decay here and weaken as it moves to the east. Taking a look here at our severe outlook today as of 8 o'clock this morning, not much change here. We're basically watching two areas of severe weather later today, mainly across the northern plains and upper Midwest, where once again we have a level 3 out of 5 and enhanced risk from southern North Dakota to eastern east central, eastern South Dakota into western Minnesota. All right. And tornado risk here today is not that high. It is only a 2%, but don't disregard that. Okay, 2% is still 2% tornado risk within 25 miles of any given point here, so there could be an isolated spin up. But again, today is not a setup fueled and backed by higher tornado threat. Once again, the damaging wind risk is going to be the primary severe hazard today across the northern plains, where we can see 65, 75 plus miles per hour here, especially in this red 30% area underneath the hatched layer there. Okay, and again, across western Kansas here. Okay, again, like I said, there could be a few isolated severe storms that form along that dry line. And to the storms that are able to mature and not dry out and fizzle out here, there could be again a few isolated intense severe wind gusts here, 65 plus miles per hour. But also taking a look here to our south, to the Tennessee Valley and southeast here from Nashville here and south into here Alabama and even Georgia here, we could see again 65 plus mile per hour winds here across this region here today. Hail threat, not much of a hail threat across the Tennessee Valley today. And again, that's going to be mainly focused up here into the northern plains here, where there's a higher chance for more discrete supercell mode, kind of like I was talking about yesterday, across these same areas here. So that's where the best risk for very large hail today, 1.5 inches in diameter or larger. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the latest HRRR model run. This is just one of several model solutions of how today could play out here across the northern plains. So we're taking a look here at noon. Okay, and you see we do have a complex here of storms that try to initiate here across eastern Nebraska, southeast Nebraska, into western Iowa. All right, and as we go through time here, and you can see it didn't really start to blossom. It didn't really start to intensify until about 2 p.m. as these storms approach here at northern Iowa and southern Minnesota. Sorry, and this is going to be one area we watch today for, again, that large hail and that damaging wind threat. And again, an isolated spin not out of the question. But even off here to the west here, give me a second, let me move this off to the west, across South Dakota. All right, you see there is another area of complex of storms developing around 2 o'clock Central Time here, and then going through time, you see this really starts to light up. The radar, the model really starts to light up here on the HRRR model. And so again, this is where the best risk for hail is going to be. And then once storms grow upscale into a linear mode, storm mode, into a line, that's where you're going to see your increased risk for damaging winds and intense damaging winds, 65, 75 plus miles per hour. Okay, so that's the first area we're watching here today for severe weather. Okay, I'm going to reset this model here back to noon here, and let's go across the southeast. Okay, in Tennessee Valley. All right, so it shows nothing at noon. All right, so we're still, atmosphere still capped here. There's still warm air aloft in the mid levels of the atmosphere here, preventing from thunderstorms developing until about roughly 4 p.m. peak heating of the day. You can see we got the HRRR model is wanting to pump out some very, very isolated cells at first here, but this is where storm initiation would be here. And then as we go into 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. here, evening hours here, then we start to see those supercells blossom. And again, this is not going to be mainly a hail threat. This is mainly going to be a damaging wind threat here across the Tennessee Valley. Okay, and again, these storms, they're not going to stay, matured for long here, because by 8 p.m., this model shows mainly everything kind of fizzling out here. So there's only a few, like 2-3 hour window for seeing severe storms that could produce, some hail, damaging winds here, not out of the question. So that is current breakdown for today's severe weather setup here, mainly across the northern plains and upper Midwest and across the Tennessee Valley. Now, I also wanted to show you guys here a kind of a sneak peek into the 4th of July forecast. All right, in terms of severe weather forecast and just rain potential. Okay, so I'm going to flip the camera here again, and give me a second. All right, is the outlook, severe weather outlook for Saturday, for 4th of July. Okay, so we have an area focused here along the eastern seaboard here across New York City here and across the East Coast where the best chance for seeing severe weather. Okay, and again, this is mainly going to be, large hail and damaging winds. All right, so, but even outside the slight risk, here we have a large area of a marginal risk here, going from the Mid-Atlantic to back into the Central Great Plains. And, especially as we get into Saturday evening and Saturday night here and into Sunday, across the Central Great Plains, I'm not too concerned with the severe weather threat here, mainly because of, again, there's not a lot of ingredients in place to produce widespread severe weather. But with that being said, we're taking a look here at the Weather Prediction Center's excessive rainfall outlook for Saturday, and there is a marginal risk for heavy rainfall here. Again, going from the Mid-Atlantic here back into the Mississippi Valley, Missouri Valley, and even upper Midwest. Now you see I have highlighted here in pink, here in purple, of across eastern Kansas and most of Missouri here. Again, you are under a marginal risk for severe weather on Saturday, and it's mainly Saturday overnight into early Sunday. So, and again, where I have this line here, this purple line, this is where, again, this is more like 20-30% chance of rain. It's not a washout. It's not a widespread chance of rain here. This is more isolated in nature here, but the best chance is going to be after midnight here. Going into, so in terms of firework displays here, outdoor activities for the 4th of July across the Central Great Plains, I'm not too concerned. You should be able to get your fireworks off here without any weather inclementing it. All right, now again, across portions of the upper Midwest, eastern seaboard, this is where there's a better chance of widespread rain, thunderstorms, and even severe weather across the eastern seaboard there. So again, this is a forecast we'll continue to watch here because, again, it is 4th of July. A lot of people are going to be traveling. A lot of people are going to be outdoors, shooting fireworks, grilling out, and having a good time here. So keeping you weather aware ahead here with the latest information is vital, so you can prepare around that and to adjust your plans if you need to. So overall, again, today, if you're under a threat for severe weather today, have your severe weather safety plan in place, have a reliable source to receive watches and warnings here, and stay tuned to the latest severe weather outlook updates from the NOAA Storm Prediction Center, and I will share those as well here. And if you live across an area where you're still seeing excessive heat here, daytime temperatures in the 90s here, and what feeling like over 100 outside, and you're going to be outside here, again, be smart here, be wise in terms of the tenure of time that you spend outside, because again, extreme heat can really mess your body up here. And get heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and stuff like that. So, on that note here, that is your 9 a.m. update here for today's severe weather setup here, and also a sneak peek into the 4th of July forecast here. If these outlooks continue to, if they get adjusted or any more upgrades between now and the 4th of July here, I will post another video here as we get closer. But otherwise, stay safe out there and stay weather aware.